10 most sexist countries. Number 10. Iran. Although women form a large proportion of students in Iran, 36 universities have recently imposed restrictions on which subjects women can study. The purpose of this is to make subjects such as science and engineering male-only fields. Iran is also home to one of the highest rates of female honor killings in the world. Approximately 560 women are killed every year as punishment for supposedly bringing shame upon their household. Number 9. China. Whilst it is now being phased out, China's one-child policy has had a detrimental impact on gender relations. Because most families would prefer a son for an heir, daughters are regularly mistreated or abandoned. Following the development of ultrasound technology, gender-selective abortions became more common in China than in any other country. This trend has led to a notable excess of Chinese men, with estimates indicating there will be 55 million more men than women by 2020. Also problematic is China's perception of unmarried women, who are referred to as leftovers if they're not wed by the age of 28. Number 8. Democratic Republic of Congo. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, women are required by law to live in the house of their father or, once married, that of their husband. This means that a wife is compelled to follow her spouse if he were to move away, even if there's a history of abuse in the relationship. And this is often the case. Spousal sexual abuse is incredibly high in the country, with a 2007 survey finding that over 3 million women reported experiencing it over the course of their lifetime. Number 7. America. Although America is very progressive in some aspects of gender equality, some states still uphold some very outdated and limiting laws. For example, it is legal in more than 30 US states for a rapist to sue his victim for child visitation rights or even custody of any child that may result from his actions. In some cases, sexual discrimination in America also extends to men. Despite 40% of the country's domestic abuse victims being male, only 1% of domestic violence shelters are open to men. Number 6. Russia. Despite considerable progress since the Soviet era, sexist attitudes are still prevalent in Russia. In 2015, the Russian space program announced plans to potentially send an all-female crew on an exploratory mission. Rather than focusing on the mission itself, commentators at a press conference questioned how the women would cope without makeup and likened them to housewives having to share a kitchen. Furthermore, Russia has a list of 456 industries in which women are not allowed to work, including jobs such as firefighters, train drivers, and steel workers. Number 5. Nigeria. Under Nigerian law, violence by a husband for the purpose of correcting his wife is completely permitted. Although the law states that violence should not be conducted to the extent of causing grievous bodily harm, there is no clarification as to how much violence is too much. As a result, approximately 3 women die every day at the hands of their spouses. Female genital mutilation is also known to be prevalent in the country. A 2008 survey found that a staggering 30% of Nigerian women had been subjected to the practice, often used to control women's sexuality. Number 4. Yemen. When testifying on a case in Yemen, a woman's statement must be backed by a man for it to be valid in the eyes of the court. In cases of sodomy, theft, libel, or adultery, a woman cannot testify at all. Furthermore, a 1992 Yemen Act dictates that a wife must permit her husband to have legitimate intercourse with her when she is fit to do so, effectively legalizing marital rape. 14% of girls in Yemen marry before the age of 15, often in arranged marriages to much older men. Number 3. El Salvador. El Salvador has one of the toughest anti-abortion laws in the world, which has faced criticism for victimizing women who suffer miscarriages or stillbirths. Such women are often suspected of deliberately inducing abortions and can even be jailed for murder. For example, in 2012, 19-year-old Glenda Xiomara Cruz was charged for the aggravated murder of her own miscarried child. Glenda hadn't even known she was carrying a baby, as she hadn't experienced any of the usual signs of pregnancy. Nevertheless, a few weeks later, she was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Number 2. India. A shockingly common crime in India is that of bride burning. To punish a woman's family for offering an insufficient dowry, brides are set alight and murdered by their husband or his relatives. Other frequent forms of dowry death include acid attacks or driving the bride to suicide. According to the National Crime Records Bureau, 8,391 dowry deaths were reported across the country in 2010. However, the Indian system of categorization for crimes against women is complex, meaning many such crimes are labeled as accidents or suicides. Only about 30% of reported dowry deaths result in criminal convictions. Number 1. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is host to a number of repressive laws, including one that forbids women from driving motor vehicles. In 1990, a group of women from Riyadh, the capital city of Saudi Arabia, defied this rule and took to the roads, only to be arrested and have their passports indefinitely confiscated. There is also a legal requirement that means women leaving the house have to be accompanied by a male chaperone at all times. What's more, Saudi Arabian women only received the vote in 2015, leaving Vatican City as the only country in the world where only men have suffrage.
If you find this video interesting, then you might also enjoy 10 most sexist movies of all time. That's been made by our friends over All Time Movies. There's a link to their channel on screen now. There's a link in the description. So go and check it out. And as always, guys, we cannot thank you enough for all your support. It really does mean the world. So until next time, peace.